This is a sequel to my talk last month, which was based on an article in Harvard Business Review, the September-October issue of Harvard Business Review. The article is entitled, "What Evolution Can Teach Us About Innovation, Lessons from the Life Sciences." It was written by a Harvard Business School professor and the CEO of Moderna. So I've called my talk today is Mutation, Innovation Part 2. And last month I talked about the creative processes to generate those ideas. So in the article, they talked about what if, and I expanded on that to talk about questioning assumptions and problem redefinition and even considering silly ideas or worst ideas. This month, I want to talk about the institutional processes beyond the eureka moment, the quote, big idea. How do you innovate ideas successfully? And we can take cues from nature as well, as this article suggests. How does nature innovate? Well, obviously through mutations. That's the big thing. And these are obviously experiments, right? And a lot of these experiments, most of these experiments don't work. So we can take our cue from that. The big thing, though, is, in my opinion, that we have to be aware of that breakthrough innovations, and that's really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about incremental innovations or line extensions. Breakthrough innovations take time, and there's inherently uncertain, okay? And I think it's important to note in this world of agile, right? We want to fail fast. We want to do all these quicker, better, faster. But I think there's some misconception about agile that you have to, if you will, suspend the need for result when you're doing breakthrough innovation. Now, probably one of the best examples of that is actually Moderna in the development of the vaccine, right? They started with a very interesting question. How do we use messenger RNA to maybe help us create new drugs? That was in 2010 that they started that, okay? And it was through the process of iteration, continuous learning, continuous creativity, right? In 2020, we ended up with the Moderna vaccine, all right? So obviously, they moved from where they were to where they ended up, and thank goodness for the world they did that. But the point here is that when you do this work, there will be pivoting. And when there's pivoting, that freaks people out, right? The board doesn't like that. The investors may not like that. But that's the nature of this game, especially when you're creating breakthrough innovation. It is an uncertain proposition. And the best managers, or some of the best managers traditionally, it's all about command and control, right? Well, that now is obviously evolving, right? And it's had to evolve because of the quick changing world and, quote, uncertain world, right? So the other thing that's really important in this work when you're doing breakthrough innovation is to relieve your teams potentially of ROI. Obviously, this gets to longer term thinking, right? If you have immediate ROIs, then this is the enemy of breakthrough innovation. When the CEO of Pfizer, and of course they worked together with Moderna, one was an Israeli Jew, the other was a Turkish Muslim, and they worked together, which was fantastic, right? But the CEO of Pfizer had said, listen, teams, I would like you to forget entirely any consideration of ROI as we're developing this vaccine. So do not worry about that, right? So another way to say that is the emphasis on, quote, short-term goals. The other thing is that we've moved away from this hero model of innovation to more of a focus on teams. And it's like making a movie. You may have a star, but you've got the directors and you've got all the support people to make that thing work. And it really is a team effort. So the last thing I want to say is that, this is all about managing uncertainty, right? And because breakthrough innovations are by definition uncertain. So my curious and quirky question for you guys is, how are you managing uncertainty? And this is not only in your business, but it could be in your life, right? Do you have strategies, paradoxically, for managing uncertainty, both for yourself, for your team, and your organization? And that requires giving up a certain amount of control.